Hey guys, welcome to another New World video. Ever since the release of the patch notes for Season 1, I've been seeing more and more people posting about how AGS has ruined the game for solo players. They made it impossible for them to solo anything now. This of course was due to the change to Trenchant recovery, as well as a few other changes to the Greatsword, and to the attributes. So in this video I wanted to hop on the PTR and test. I want to see if this is still viable for solo players who enjoy farming, and if the gear they have will still have a purpose, or if what they are saying is in fact true and the Trenchant recovery Bane weapons they invest in are now in fact the trash they are claiming they are. So let's just get into it. So first, let's have a look at exactly what's changed. So the big ones, although there are many, I think these ones are the most important. So the first part of this is of course the change they made to the 300 strength 300 con perks, moving the old 300 strength perk to con. And second, probably the more important, Trenchant recovery. They reduced the power of the lifesteal from charged heavies from 10 to 40% based on gear score to 5 to 20%. So you can see that's a huge reduction to the amount of healing you will receive, exactly half. And that is why people think it'll be no longer viable. The days of soloing High Priest Osaguera are over. The days of soloing 65 minor rifts are over. That's all I keep hearing. But I'm not so sure about that. So I logged into the PTR to try something I've been thinking about for the past while. So my thought was this: yes, we will be receiving a ton less healing, but we will still be healing. So why not set it up sort of like the old paladins in World of Warcraft we used to use to solo everything? My thought was, we could increase our self-healing any way we can, using Leech on our rings and Divine on our neck, use a weapon with Bane because more damage is more healing, and then focus everything else on lowering our incoming damage as much as possible. This then would offset the new reduction in the amount healed from the Trenchant by simply making ourselves take less damage than we did before. However, this is the PTR and our ability to get the ideal gear is limited. So, I did the best I could and I crafted a Greatsword with Corruption Bane and Trenchant Recovery as my test weapon. Then I crafted some armor, and it isn't even ideal, as you can see. In order to replicate an average solo player on live, I went with whatever I could throw together quickly. Nothing here is best in slot or even good if I'm being honest. Just a few pieces with ward and the attributes and that's about it. I didn't want anyone to be able to say after I did this that the test would either failed or passed simply because of the gear. Then of course my ring and amulet, with the perks I wanted as far as Divine and Leeching. The amulet unfortunately didn't have health, so that may hurt us, but we'll see. So that's the test set, nothing great and easily stuff anyone can do on live, but on live I recommend going with 5 wards and much better gear. Now for the weapon masteries. So as you can see, what I did here was shift from my old solo build from Onslaught to Defiance, which makes sense for what I was trying to achieve here by taking less damage. So first I took Calamity Counter. Then the important part of this is going to be all the way in, because as you can see it will heal you for 20% of its damage, which helps in a pinch. Basically everything here is about lowering my incoming damage as well as giving more options for self-healing. I also went all the way into Roaring Rupture for Intimidating Roar. This one's important. This applies a weaken on your targets. This of course helps a ton with those boss fights. I won't go over every ability here. I'll just show you the build. I am sure you can see why I took them, and you absolutely know what they do. If you have any questions about it though, feel free to ask in the comments. Although this isn't a final build, this is simply a test. I just want to make sure this works. I'll be putting together a final build when this goes live and I can use my actual gear, if it works. Now, this is just for my Greatsword. I didn't bother setting up anything really for a secondary weapon for this test, but if you took something like a spear with enfeebling skewer or a warhammer built around staggering, you can imagine how much better this would be. But for this, I simply wanted to test the Greatsword on its own. The idea was I wanted to be able to test if this would allow me to do anything I used to be able to do, just to test the viability of the Trenchant recovery on the Greatsword. So for this test I will be killing, or attempting to kill I suppose, High Priest Osaguera, because that's one people seem to ask me about the most and have had the most trouble soloing before. So let's test this out and see how it goes. One thing you will notice right away is that here I wanted to try Crosscut, but I didn't like it, so that's why I switched it to Steadfast Strike. Well guys, there you have it. The Trenchant Greatsword for soloing is still more than viable. In fact, although my damage was much lower than it used to be, I found this much easier. It was much lower stress, I didn't find myself ever getting into binds, nothing really put me at risk. There was no close calls or anything like that. So I think we can say that you can relax. Your gear will still work, your greatswords were not a waste, and you still will be able to solo no problem. All it will require is a little adjustment to your attributes and to your weapon masteries. So I hope this answers those questions and concerns you guys have had around this. And no, AGS has not killed the game for the solo player. It's all still very doable, and once this goes live and I can test further with my actual solo gear, I think we can come up with some amazing builds that will make this much faster. And as always guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.